On this episode of Sailing Chaos, we make final steps to get from this to this. We finished wrapping up projects on the boat with only a week to go before we hoped to splash her. Dennis removed the old carpet flooring and used it as a template to cut out linoleum for the new flooring. It looked great, but we'll talk in another video on how it doesn't stay that way and what we had to do differently. Meanwhile, I work on cutting our 10-inch memory foam mattress for the V-berth. We used an electric turkey carving knife and a paper template Dennis had made of the bottom of the V-berth, along with the measurements 10 inches up, which is where the top of the mattress would sit. It all fit pretty well, with some slight trimming once it was in place. Things started getting real when we got our refinished cushions back from the canvas place. I tried them on my own originally, but it didn't go so well. We finally fired up the engine, and we weren't sure if this is what it's supposed to sound like. Even today, we're still not convinced, but everyone who has heard it says that it's what a one-cylinder diesel that's 40 years old will sound like. None of the marine mechanics we've met thus far seem concerned, so we'll baby her like the little engine that could and hope she gives us years of good service. Next, we install the TV and test our folding table. We also installed a place in the cockpit lazarette to hold our PFDs and fenders when we aren't using them. All work and no play makes Carrie cranky, so I test out my new paddleboard that Dennis and the kids got me for my birthday. I think Finn is the most excited about it. The next morning, we woke up early and strapped everything down. We headed down the road, filled the truck up with gas, and made our way onto the highway. I was the lead car, followed by a friend of ours who's more experienced driving trailers, so he pulled the boat, while Dennis was the caboose, making sure everything went smoothly. After an anxiety-filled hour-and-a-half drive, we ended up at our destination, Chameau Yacht Club in Chameau, New York. Here, we backed our trailer under the lift, and in no time, they were lifting us up. They set us in the water, and this is when Dennis's anxiety kicked in. He hopped on the boat and quickly checked that no sea cocks were leaking. So far, so good. He then fired up the engine and put it into gear to make sure it worked. All seemed good. Dennis had to motor across the bay to another marina to use their crane to lift the mast since Chameau's was flooded out. He headed over to where they stepped the mast. Dennis didn't get any video of it, but said it was a wild scene. 6 guys jumped onto the boat and started pulling the lines to where they all needed to be as they raised the mast. To Dennis, it looked like chaos, however, they seemed to know exactly what they were doing. Dennis stayed out of the way, holding lines when asked. They secured the mast by using the forward and aft stays and then the 2 center stays. They told Dennis they were grabbing a quick lunch, leaving him to tighten up the rest of the stays. He nervously attached the others and tightened them just to snug. One of the guys hitched a ride back and helped him dock. His anxiety spiked because docking is definitely a learned art. Luckily, we had a friend and neighbor of ours, Kevin, that came to check out our boat. He gave us a hand installing our bimini, handling our dock lines, and just all around was really helpful during a very stressful time. That evening, we headed into town for dinner and were greeted by a stunning sunset, one of many we hope to see out on the water. The day was long and Cole crashed on our drive back to the boat. The next day was filled with more boat projects, but first, fishing. Cole caught 16 fish that weekend in all different sizes. He loved it and did it for hours on end. He took some breaks from fishing and we would play games with him between our boat projects. We still hadn't figured out the alcohol stove, nor had the grill installed, so we went into town for dinner. We ended up at the Anchor. It became Cole's favorite place to eat because he loves their old school bowling game. That evening, they were doing fireworks in Sackett's Harbor, and Captain Brett invited us out on his boat to watch them. We couldn't pass up this opportunity. After dinner, we met up with him, his wife, son, and their dog for some VIP treatment and the best seats in town right on the water. Thank you again, Captain Brett, for an unforgettable night. As we were leaving, we spotted a kayaker with no lights on, paddling their way back to shore. It was so dangerous. Luckily, a passerby threw them some glow sticks later on to make them a little more visible. But this is how tragic accidents happen, and it could have been avoided with some proper planning on their part. We got back to our boat and settled in for the evening. The next morning, we woke up and tackled the alcohol stove and cooked breakfast. I went back home to pick Lexi up, and then we got ready to finish the day's projects and possibly sail out that afternoon. However, Mother Nature had other plans for us. The rain came in quick. So quick that it caught the kids off guard when they were returning from the bathrooms. They got caught in the rainstorm.
Ready? So we just got all the sails up, everything's rigged. We were getting ready. Whoa! Getting ready to possibly head out. And then this decided to roll through. Apparently it's supposed to do this all day. But we're gonna take advantage of it because the deck's all dirty. So we're gonna wash our decks. By the way, I volunteered to do this. She wanted to.
Although the rain hampered our plans of sailing that day, it did, however, become a blessing in disguise. We got to figure out if we had any leaks, and, well, anyone that owns a sailboat knows you spend a lot of time chasing leaks. We ended up with a few that we'll spend some time trying to figure out in the coming weeks. But while waiting out the rain, we hung out inside. Once the rain stopped, we headed into town for some dinner and ice cream. On the way, we noticed this "No wake within 1,000 feet from shore" sign on the highway. You typically see these on the waterways, not the highways. I guess they do it a little bit different out here. We walked through historic Sackett's and made our way to Cole's favorite restaurant, The Anchor, where he and Lexi competed in some bowling. After, we went to our favorite little ice cream stand, Strader's, Saturdays, Sundays, and more. That evening, we did a little sunset fishing and settled into bed for our big adventure tomorrow. The next morning was bittersweet. We really enjoyed Chameau Yacht Club. Everyone was friendly and we met some nice neighbors on a nearby boat. We really enjoyed the facilities they had to offer. However, we were really excited to get our boat to Sackett's Harbor so we could be closer to Captain Brett, try out another facility, and meet new people. We pulled up our lines and headed out. We went over boat safety with the kids, and then they helped us raise the sails. The weather was absolutely perfect for our first sail. We had decent wind, calm waters, sunny skies, and bearable temperatures. Dennis said the moment when the kids climbed up on deck to sit with me, it made all the hard work worthwhile. Our dream of making memories was alive and well. After a 4-hour sail, we ended up in our slip at Madison Barracks Marina in Sackett's Harbor. We secured our lines, secured our boat, and headed home, knowing full well we would be back for more adventure soon. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Once subscribed, you can click on the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new episode.